Today, we are going to tear apart a really common sense rule about nutrition, and it all kicks off right here, inside a simple bag of chicken feed. Because what if I told you that almost everything we've assumed about protein is actually backwards?
Look, we've all had it drilled into us, right? Protein is the ultimate building block. Whether you're at the gym, planning your diet, or especially if you're a farmer, the logic feels unbreakable. If you want something to get bigger, stronger, and healthier, you just give it more protein. But what if that's not just a little bit wrong, but is actually causing more harm than good? Let's get into it.
For decades, the playbook in the poultry world was super straightforward. Just pack the feed with as much crude protein, or CP, as you can. The thinking was, hey, this is the only way to make absolutely sure that chickens are getting all those essential nutrients they need to grow big and fast. And, for a long time, that hypothesis was totally logical. Before we had the technology to create pure individual amino acids in a lab, the only way to get them into a chicken was through whole ingredients, like soybean meal. There just wasn't a more precise way to do it.
So this created a central myth that's been really hard to shake. The idea that any feed with lower crude protein must be, lower quality feed. But as we're about to see, the new reality is the dead opposite. A carefully designed low-protein feed isn't just better. It actually reveals that the old high-protein method was creating this whole cascade of hidden negative side effects.
So what are these hidden costs? I mean, what happens when a chicken eats more protein than its body can actually use for building muscle and tissue? Well, that excess has to go somewhere. And where it goes, well, that's where all the trouble begins.
Okay, so picture this. The moment there's too much protein, it splits and goes down two really harmful paths. Path number one, some of it just doesn't get digested at all. It sails right on through to the lower gut. Path number two, the rest of it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, but since the body has no use for it, it becomes a toxic problem that the body has to work overtime to get rid of. And both of these paths cause serious issues.
So let's look at that undigested stuff first. When it hits the lower gut, it doesn't just pass through. Nope, it basically becomes a 5-star buffet for harmful bacteria. This process of fermentation can lead to some really nasty diseases like necrotic enteritis and helps bad guys we've all heard of, like E. coli and Salmonella, to thrive. Now for the second problem, which is arguably even bigger. This is the protein that does get digested, but isn't actually needed. These extra amino acids flood the system, and if they hang around, they become toxic. So the bird's body has to fire up this really costly, energy-burning process just to break them down and get them out. So just how much are we talking about here? This is the number that just blew me away. In your typical broiler chicken, a full 55% of the nitrogen from the protein it eats is completely wasted. It's just processed and pooped out, never contributing a single gram to the bird's actual growth. More than half. And getting rid of all that waste is an expensive process for the bird. First, it burns a ton of energy. We're talking about 2.3 kilocalories for every single percent of excess protein. Second, it uses up precious water to turn toxic ammonia into a safer compound called uric acid. And third, that whole metabolic process generates extra body heat, which really puts the bird under stress, especially when it's already warm. And you can literally see the results of all that wasted water right here. It's so clear. On the left, that's the litter from chickens on the old school high-protein diet. It's wet, it's sticky, and it's a perfect breeding ground for ammonia and disease. Now look at the right. That's the litter from birds on a balanced, lower-protein diet. It's dry, it's healthy. The difference is night and day. And that wet, nasty litter directly hurts the birds, causing a really painful condition called foot pad dermatitis. But this shows a crystal clear solution. Look at the bars, moving from left to right. Each one is a diet with a little less protein. Now just focus on that gray part of each bar, the part labeled degree 0. That's the percentage of birds with perfectly healthy feet. As the protein level drops, the healthy population just skyrockets. In that lowest protein group on the far right, an incredible 71% of the birds had 0 foot problems whatsoever. Okay, so if throwing more protein at the problem is the issue, what's the solution? It's not just about cutting back. It's about swapping a sledgehammer for a scalpel. It's about a concept called precision nutrition. And this is the core idea. Precision nutrition isn't about starving the birds of what they need. It's about giving them the exact amount and the perfect ratio of each individual amino acid, the building blocks, that they require for ideal growth. Nothing more, nothing less. Zero excess, zero waste. The best way to get your head around this is to think about Lego bricks. A traditional high-protein feed is like getting a giant, random bucket of Legos dumped on the floor. Yeah, you might have the pieces you need to build your little spaceship, but you've also got this huge, wasteful pile of extra bricks you'll never touch. A precision diet, that's like getting a kit where you have the exact number and color of every single brick you need. It is perfectly efficient. And this chart visualizes that Lego analogy perfectly. Let's look at the top graph. That's the old way. The black line is what the bird ideally needs, but the colored bars, that's what's actually in the feed. You can see these huge, wasteful surpluses of some amino acids. Now look at the bottom chart. This is precision nutrition. By adding pure supplemental amino acids, we can make the diet perfectly match that requirement line. And by doing that, we can dramatically lower the total crude protein and just eliminate all that harmful waste. Now, all of this sounds fantastic in theory, right? But does it actually work out in the real world? Well, let's take a look. Because the data from commercial trials, this is where the story gets really, really good. Okay, first up, let's talk feed efficiency. This is a huge deal for any farm. This chart shows what's called the feed conversion ratio, or FCR. Basically, it measures how much feed it takes to get 1 kilogram of chicken. So a lower number is way better. The bar on the far left is the standard high-protein diet. Now watch what happens as you move to the right, to the more precisely balanced diets. The FCR drops. It drops significantly. These birds are growing more while eating less. That's the dream. And hey, remember that whole problem with wasted water? Well, precision nutrition totally fixes it. This trial shows that just by reducing crude protein by 3%, look at the difference between the control diet on the left and the precision diet on the right. Farmers cut the birds' daily water drinking by almost 12%. That means drier living conditions, healthier birds, and a much smaller environmental footprint. And speaking of the environment, those benefits are massive. A precision diet means less wasted nitrogen going in, which directly means less nitrogen and toxic ammonia coming out. The end result is a huge drop in harmful ammonia emissions from the farm. That is a massive win for air quality and for the environment around the farm. So when you put all the pieces together, this isn't a story with just one small benefit. It's a genuine win-win-win. It's better for the animals, it's better for the planet, and as it turns out, it's a whole lot better for the farmer's wallet too. And this is what really seals the deal, the bottom line. This economic analysis from a real-world trial shows that as you precisely lower the protein, the feed itself actually gets cheaper to produce. But at the same time, because the birds are healthier and performing better, the total profit per bird actually goes up. It's incredible. And the final number, it's just staggering. For a farm raising 1 million birds, simply switching to a precision diet with 3% less crude protein could mean an extra profit of over $107,000. That is not just a tweak, that's a complete game changer for farm economics. So, the takeaway here is so clear. The answer was never just more protein, it was smarter protein. It's such a powerful reminder that in science, in nutrition, in so many parts of our lives, real progress doesn't always come from adding more of something, but from being more precise. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where else are we using a sledgehammer when what we really need is a scalpel?